Hello everyone, in this video we'll learn how to create a VM in Azure Virtual Machine and how to encrypt the created VM. So to start with the creating VM, you need to start with the service Azure Virtual Machine. So click on Virtual Machine under Services, then you need to click on Create, then again create Azure Virtual Machine icon, and then choose the subscription. By default, whatever the subscription available, that will be selected. Now you can use existing resource group or you can create your own new resource group. So as we are doing a training purpose video, we'll create a new resource group, and as a best practice, you should have one container. Resource group is like a container. So for all VM related resources, we are going to create under one resource group. I'm creating AVMR as a new resource group, and you can see at the right side you can provide the cost as well. You can see the cost of your VM you are going to create. Give the VM name, choose the region, select the availability zone, and you can customize these settings if you want. You can choose as per your wish. For the time being, I'm keeping the basic default settings, and under image you need to choose the virtual machine you want to use or you want to create. Let's say we want to create a Linux machine, so we have selected Red Hat Enterprise Linux Virtual Machine version 8. Now you can see right side there is a cost around 1480 rupees, the estimated monthly cost. Now if you want to reduce the cost, you can customize based on size. It will change. Now if you see, if you choose one CPU 1 GB memory, it will cost you 630 rupees per month, and that is free service eligible. So whatever the cost will occur under free service version, you will have a less cost. Now if you want to reduce further the cost, you can use the Copilot, and you just choose the option from the Copilot, help me to create a low cost VM. Use this feature, enable that one by choosing the option 1 using Azure Spot, and once you select that one and once you enable use Azure Spot virtual machine to take advantage of unused capacity at significant cost. So you can reduce the cost by enabling, and you can see the cost reduced to around half price. But still there is one warning, because the size whatever we have chosen, this size does not support the Azure Spot. So we need to change the size. Click on the size, and first of all see the all the sizes available and select the available size. Here you can see based on your requirement you can choose a number of CPU size. So right now we have chosen 1 GB memory and 2 CPU. Now the warning gone. Now we are all good, and you can see maximum price you want to pay per hour 0.78. If you want to reduce further the cost, go to the disk, and instead of SSD choose the HDD, that is the older version of hard disk. It will have a less speed, but you can save the cost if you are doing for training purpose, creating this VM, so it doesn't bother about you by choosing HDD disk. But now you can see the cost reduced to 253. So that way you can reduce the cost. Now authentication type to access your machine. How you want to access your virtual machine? Either you can choose the SSH public key and password. There are two options. So we'll go for SSH public key option. Provide the username for your account or to use your virtual machine. I'm creating my own account, and we are going to select SSH public key source as generate a new key pair. So we'll generate a new key pair. You can use your existing key stored in Azure, or you can use your existing public key pair It's up to you what option you want to choose. For the testing purpose or training purpose, we are choosing the default option, generate new key pair. And the key type RSSH format, give the key pair name for file name. So I'm giving RHEL8 key. The default port to access the SSH, we need to make it enable. So we have selected the default port 22. So now basics things are okay. Now moving to the disk, that we already customized the disk, and you can see there is an option for key management. So if you want to use your own key, you can use your own key to encrypt the VM, or you can choose the default platform managed key to encrypt your VM. All VM under Azure portal are encrypted by default with platform managed key. If you want to use your own key, so you can select your own disk encryption set, and whatever the key vault map to your disk encryption set, and the key inside your uh, key vault will be used to encrypt your VM. So I'm keeping the default setting as it is for the moment, and we'll cover how to encrypt the VM with customized managed key once our VM gets ready. So there is an option you can do later also, or you can enable encryption at the creation of VM itself. Now next part is networking. Now you can see the price is increased because public IP is assigned, so that you can access your VM from anywhere location with the help of public IP. So public IP, the cost is added into your estimated monthly cost. And one more thing, you can do the identity access management with respect to your VM. You can customize. These are the settings you can customize. You can provide identity. You can use Entra ID, Microsoft Entra ID feature. If you want to enable auto shutdown, just tick the option enable auto shutdown and specify the time, at what time you want to shut down the machine, and you can notify the user or administrator by putting the email ID of your administrator, and notification will be sent to the administrator. You can enable backup for your VM. By any chance, if your VM gets deleted, you can restore from the recovery service vault. So that option also you can enable. We'll keep the default as it is. We'll not enable at the moment because we don't have much important data. We are just exploring the Azure VM service. Again, site recovery, if you want to do for disaster recovery, that also you can enable. It's up to you. Next part, monitoring. So you can set the alerts for monitoring your VM. You can enable boot diagnostics. That also you can enable with managed storage account. And next part we'll see in advance. Here you can configure the custom data if you want. Then tags, if you want to add any tags to your VM, that also you can add. And next, just click on review and create. Now you can see the cost 0.42 USD per hour to create this VM, which is very less. But still, if you want to reduce further, now because of in under networking, data transfer is 100 GB per second, so you can reduce that cost by changing the your transfer to 1 GB per second. So now I'm reducing that one. Now still, let me do to 1 and see the magic. Now price gets reduced to 563. Out of that 563, 300 just for public IP, because public IP is costlier. And disk, as we are using the disk, it's HDD, because of that it's 250, and the basic charge is nominal 3 rupees. So totally VM cost is around approximately 563 rupees. Okay, so that's it about the estimate monthly cost for this running this VM. Now I'm clicking on create, and now it giving the option, because it generated new key pair for to access the VM. Azure doesn't store this private key, so it giving the privilege to download your private key onto your machine. So I'm storing on my desktop. Private key is with me now to access my VM, and VM is getting created in background. It will not take much time, so let's wait the process getting completed. At any time, if you miss the steps, you can pause the video, or you can rewind, and you can customize your VM, and you can proceed with deployment of your VM. For Windows based machine, just you need to change the image from RHL to Windows. Other all the rest of the settings are same. So now you can see our deployment is complete. Now we'll go to the resource, and our VM is ready. Red Hat Enterprise Linux machine is ready, and it started already. Public IP it get allocated to our VM. I'm copying that one to access the virtual machine from my laptop. Now to connect the VM, you can click on connect, and it will show you the different ways to access your virtual machine. So you can do SSH using Azure CLI, or you can do native SSH. So these are the two options available. So it will provide you the detailed steps as well. It's just checking. Then native SSH, you can see if you want to access using PowerShell, you can use the PowerShell to access the your VM as well. So the prerequisite is we already have public IP. So only thing is we need to configure your private key to access the VM. We require our your own private key that we already stored on our laptop. Now let's open the PowerShell, and once we open the PowerShell, copy the command. Yes, you can copy. There is an option. You can see it. Copy option is there. So I'm just doing SSH to show you how we normally access the VM. So by doing SSH and public IP, you can access the VM. Now it's asking for authentication, but as we haven't configured the private key part, we are not able to authenticate to the our virtual machine. So to authenticate, first we need to configure the private key. So copy the path and the username. Now I'm trying to repeat. I just copied paste, and then we'll edit the syntax. Now we'll configure our private key onto that particular path. Let me go to that path. See users, and under users, see users. Okay, now you can see .ssh is the hidden folder is already there. So over here we need to paste our key. So whatever the key we get it from Azure, that we can store over here. And now try to access by renaming the PM file REShell 8 key. Okay, by mistake I given RHL 9, so let me edit in correct way. Let me hit the tab better to avoid the typo mistakes. Yeah, and then username and the IP. And now you can see I'm inside the VM now, and I can register my VM with the Red Hat Enterprise Linux. So if you don't have account, you can create account and you can get the update for all your VM. Now I'm running some basic commands to see I can properly using the VM. So you can see I just browse the Red Hat version. So Red Hat 8.10 we are using disk press, we are monitoring. So all good. So our VM is ready and we already accessing that VM using PowerShell through SSH. Okay, now let's see how we can do the encryption for your VM. So go to the disk and if you see the VM is already encrypted with SEC with PMK, server side encryption with platform managed key, that is the provided by Azure. So as I mentioned earlier, all VM encrypted with in Azure with SEC with PMK. So that is the default encryption enabled. But you want to use your own encryption, then you should have key vault created. So I already have created one key vault that we can leverage. And if you want to know how to create a key vault, I'm in comment box. I'm putting the link in my video for how to create a key vault that you can refer to create a key vault. Now we'll create one more key to encrypt our VM. So click on option generate. You can import your own key, so you can use the concept bring your own key. You can generate your key using HSM and you can import in your key vault. So let's go back to the Azure key vault, go to the keys, click on generate. These are my existing keys. Now click on generate. Let's say RHL VM encryption key I'm creating. So we'll keep the default option and let's generate the key. So key is generated now. Now we need to map this key with disk encryption set. So the prerequisite part is done for key. Now let's search the service disk encryption set. To encrypt the disk, we have to create disk encryption sets. So now I'm browsing the disk encryption set service. Over here, I already created one disk encryption set. Now I'll create another one. Create a resource group. Again, I mentioned earlier, I created already one new resource group so that I can manage all resources related to my VM under that resource group. So I'm using the existing resource group, whatever we have chosen or created at the time of creating a virtual machine. Yeah, and then we'll provide the disk encryption set name so that we need to remember what we are going to create, because that we need to map to key vault. Now I'm choosing the option encryption type, encryption at rest with customer managed key. So whenever I use this disk encryption set, the encryption will be enabled using my own key, that is customer managed key, and I need to specify my key vault and then the key and the key version, the latest key version you can choose. And the last option is just create the disk encryption set. Now my disk encryption set is ready to deploy and it's getting deployed. Let's wait for a few minutes, it will not take much time. If you want to reduce further the cost, go to the disk and instead. Okay, okay, next part now we'll see the disk encryption. So go to the disk, and you can see as machine is running, we cannot encrypt the VM while running. So we need to turn it off, and then we'll apply the customer managed key encryption. So I'm turning off the VM. Okay, now machine is turned off almost. Yeah, now go to the disk, and you can see it's encrypted with SSE PMK. Select the disk and go to the settings, click on encryption, and under key management, under drop down, choose our disk encryption set. You can see it's mapped with our key vault, and you can see the key is going to encrypt the VM RHEL VM, that the key we have created. So choose that set under customer management key. Okay, click on save, and now encryption of our disk is started. So it will take a few minutes. Okay, disk is encrypted now. Go back to the overview and go to the disk again, encryption. You can see customer managed key is used for encryption. Go to the overview again, click on disk again, and you can see now previously the default of encryption is SEC with CMK. Refresh the screen, and now you can see SEC with CMK is enabled. This way you can encrypt your disk by your own key. And then again we need to start the VM, and we'll verify all the settings. We'll try to use the VM again. Okay, VM is started now, and we'll try to access the VM. We'll run some commands. Let me do SSH first. Okay, I'm inside the VM now, and I'm running some commands just to validate VM is accessible, to showcase you the VM is in running state. Okay, that's it about encrypting VM, creating a VM, and using your own key to encrypt the VM. If you want to use the GUI, you can use passation option. You can use deploy. You need to deploy this service, and that's it. So thank you for watching this video, and please subscribe and encourage me to create such videos. Thank you.